In 1959, at the height of the Cold War, the world witnessed one of the most extraordinary feats of human engineering. In a remote, frozen expanse, about 240 kilometers east of Thule Air Base, buried deep beneath Greenland's massive ice sheet, the United States Army embarked on a project unlike anything ever attempted before. It was called Camp Century, the city under the ice. To the public and much of the world, it stood as a breathtaking testament to human ingenuity, a bold symbol of mankind's ability to conquer even the harshest corners of the planet. Officially, it was presented as an Arctic research station, a scientific outpost dedicated to exploration and discovery, a true city beneath the ice. It was designed to test new techniques for building beneath the ice and to study how humans could live and work for extended periods in one of the most extreme, isolated environments on Earth. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers used massive Swiss trench-cutting machines to carve through the ice, creating a network of 21 main tunnels. These tunnels were then reinforced with arched steel roofs and packed with snow, forming a stable, insulated network beneath the ice. Inside this frozen city, life resembled that of a small American town. At its peak, Camp Century housed around 200 soldiers, engineers, and scientists. They had a hospital, a movie theater, a chapel, a library, even a barber shop. The main corridor, known as Main Street, stretched more than 300 meters in length. But what truly made Camp Century unique and self-sustaining was its source of power. At the heart of the city stood the PM-2A, a portable nuclear reactor. It was the first of its kind in the world, a groundbreaking feat of engineering. The PM-2A didn't just generate electricity. More importantly, it produced abundant heat, melting the surrounding ice to provide a steady supply of fresh water. Scientists stationed there also carried out vital research. It was here that they drilled the first ever deep ice core through Greenland's ice sheet, yielding priceless samples that would help unravel the history of Earth's climate. Everything about Camp Century was promoted as a shining symbol of progress. But behind the polished image in the corridors of power in Washington, the truth was far more secretive. The scientific facade, impressive as it seemed, was just that, a cover. Beneath it lay a hidden military agenda, a classified project so secret that even the Danish government was kept in the dark. Most of the soldiers and scientists stationed there had no idea that they were part of one of the most daring gambles of the entire Cold War. Welcome to Project Iceworm, the code name for the top-secret plan that Camp Century was built to support. Declassified in 1996, the Iceworm documents revealed a military vision that was nothing short of astonishing. Amid widespread fear of a Soviet first-strike nuclear attack, the Pentagon was desperate to preserve a credible second-strike capability. Fixed land-based ICBM silos in the United States were glaringly vulnerable. The military solution? Move them somewhere the enemy couldn't find, hidden beneath Greenland's ice sheet. Camp Century was never meant to be the endgame. It was a pilot facility. Iceworm's real plan was far bolder, to carve a vast labyrinth of tunnels stretching some 4,000 kilometers beneath the ice.
Inside that subterranean maze, the military planned to deploy up to 600 Minutemen intercontinental ballistic missiles, each armed with nuclear warheads. This wasn't merely about hiding missiles. The plan was far more ingenious. The missiles would sit on mobile launch platforms that ran along specially laid tracks inside the tunnels, constantly changing position like a continent-scale nuclear shell game. The Soviets would never be able to pin down the exact location of any given missile, making a successful first strike all but impossible. If completed, the project would have created an impregnable nuclear fortress. The PM-2A reactor was more than a power source. It was a test to see whether dozens of similar reactors could supply the energy needed to run the entire Iceworm network.
However, there was one enemy the Pentagon's planners, in all their engineering arrogance, failed to account for: the ice itself. The engineers had assumed that Greenland's ice sheet was solid, stable, and eternal. They were fatally wrong. Scientists at Camp Century soon uncovered the truth. Ice is not rock. It's a slow-moving, viscous river, constantly in motion. Just a few years after construction, the tunnels began to deform. The immense pressure of thousands of meters of ice above was slowly flowing, crushing the structures beneath. Steel arches bent and buckled. The reactor's main corridor was warping at an alarming rate. By 1963, it was clear that nature would not be tamed. The ice was devouring the base from within. Project Iceworm, the great nuclear fortress, was defeated not by the Soviets, but by the laws of glacial physics. The project was quietly abandoned, and in 1967, Camp Century was officially shut down. But the story didn't end there. When the U.S. Army departed Camp Century in 1967, they did so under a crucial assumption. They believed Greenland's ice sheet to be a permanent ice tomb. They assumed yearly snowfall would keep piling up, burying the base forever. So, they didn't bother to clean up. They simply shut down the reactor and hauled it away, flipped the lights off, and left everything else behind. They abandoned the whole town, along with tons of waste. For decades, the world forgot about Camp Century. It became nothing more than a strange historical footnote of the Cold War. But the assumption of a permanent tomb was shattered by a reality the military planners of the 1960s could never have imagined: human-induced climate change.
The Arctic is warming 3 to 4 times faster than the rest of the planet, a phenomenon known as Arctic amplification. The Greenland ice sheet, once believed to be an eternal vault of frozen accumulation, is now in a state of net melt. In 2016, a landmark study published in Geophysical Research Letters sounded the alarm. Scientists warned that the burial process had reversed. Instead of being entombed deeper, the ice covering Camp Century is thinning. This is no longer a historical curiosity. It's an environmental time bomb. As the ice melts, diesel fuel, PCBs, biological waste, and radioactive coolant could be released into meltwater streams, flowing toward the ocean and poisoning the fragile marine ecosystem of Baffin Bay.
It has also created a political and legal nightmare. Who bears responsibility for the cleanup? The United States, the nation that built and abandoned it? Denmark, the sovereign power that was never informed of Project Iceworm? Or Greenland, the self-governing land now forced to face the consequences? Camp Century, the once celebrated city under the ice, is slowly emerging from the past, not as a marvel of engineering, but as a toxic relic of the Cold War, a chilling reminder of human arrogance and the unforeseen consequences that can echo for centuries.